Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, where I'm here for another herb video, one that I'm redoing from about 6-7 years ago, just to get better quality and get you even more information out there. So one of the first herbs I got serious about growing, and one of my very favorites, and that is marshmallow. And no, we're not talking about the sweet confectionery treat. We're talking about the actual herb that the treat once used to be made from, believe it or not. It used to be made from the root. And it wasn't marshmallows like we know today. It was actually more like a marshmallow cream. So just a whipped up substance using the marshmallow root, because it kind of has a gelatinous property. Whenever it's soaked in water or cooked a little bit, it can thicken things up. And so that's what was used to make the sweet marshmallow, and that's why it was called that. So I'm putting the botanical name right here and also in the title, so you know what exactly to look up to make it easier, especially so you don't get a bunch of information about treats, but you actually get the herb if you want to do more research for yourself. Right here, by the way, I already said this is marshmallow root, and the reason it has this lid is because anything you see with this lid on typically is because I keep it in my kitchen where it's visible. So I have my little tea shelf, and this is one of the things I keep on the shelf. I like to also add it to my elderberry spice syrup. And then the marshmallow leaves, I also sometimes use these in teas. I've added them to my mixed greens blend, and it most predominantly these days gets used in my infused oil for skincare. So let me give you a few more facts about the marshmallow plant itself. And the one thing you'll need to know is that if you're going to grow it, it can get, in the second or third year, it can get 8 to 10 feet tall. I think it's about the third year it gets 8 to 10 feet tall. It is a perennial, so it will keep coming back, and that root in the ground will just keep getting bigger and bigger. And in fact, here's a picture of a root that I harvested. It was the first time I harvested any of my marshmallow root, and it was massive, which, by the way, I did a video on the uses for the marshmallow root, and I just tried messing around with it and did a few interesting things. So I'll be linking to that down below. And also I'll be linking to any other videos related, like the oil infusion for the skin cream and whatever else I think of that I might be forgetting at the time. And one thing I like about them in the summertime is they can make a nice, beautiful privacy fence. But unfortunately, it's only during the summer, because they die back and then they start growing again in the spring. And when they start growing again, you'll see them coming up out of the ground. When they're in their second year, they look like a whole bunch of little red shoots coming up out of the ground that then will turn green, and then you'll have this beautiful plant with these lovely white flowers that typically have kind of a pinkish to lavender type center. And then the leaves are very soft and velvety feeling. And then the parts that are typically used are the leaves, flowers, and roots. And by the way, you can also use the flowers and leaves in salads, especially the flowers. They look nice in salads. You can add them to stir fries, soups, whatever you want. It's great. Like I said, I've used the leaves in my mixed greens blend, which I'll link to that video down below. I probably didn't use them in that because I only used them for a while in there, and then I started saving them more for using in teas and skin cream. So now let's talk about the benefits and the things that marshmallow can really help with, any health ailments and more. So starting off, it is a natural analgesic, so it can be pain relieving. I've actually added it to my pain extract in the past. It is anti-inflammatory. It has mucilaginous properties, and any herb that does, that's what makes it kind of turn things gelatinous. What that means, it's going to be very soothing to the mucous membrane throughout the body. So that's going to mean it's very good for your whole digestive tract. It's good for helping with sore throats and coughs, and also is helpful at clearing chest congestion. It is a vulnerary, which means it's very beneficial to the skin, which is why I add it to my skin cream blend. My infused oil is great for just making your skin healthy. It's also soothing. It can help with minor skin ailments, abrasions, scrapes, cuts, burns, but also things like psoriasis, eczema, and acne. Now, I already mentioned it's good for digestive health, but a couple things to point out. It is very helpful for those with Crohn's or ulcerative colitis and heartburn, and then stomach ulcers and peptic ulcers as well. It's good for diabetics in the fact that it can help lower blood sugar levels. It's very detoxifying to the system, but also immune boosting. So it can be just another one of those things you add to your immune boosting teas. And another good reason to add it to your elderberry syrup. And oh, by the way, if you're interested in my own personal recipe, I'll link to that down below as well. It helps protect the lungs and is good for joint pain and inflammation. It's helpful with bloating and water retention. It fights bacterial infections and is very good for heart health. And it is also antioxidant. And some things to know, it's virtually safe. It's one of your safer herbs when it comes to using it, but anybody can be allergic to anything. And if you're on medication, any herb that is used for medicinal purposes you need to look into that for yourself, because it can cause different reactions. It can make your medication ineffective or make it too effective. So there's some of the things you want to look at. So if you're taking any kind of lithium based drugs, if you're on medication for diabetes, because it is helpful for lowering blood sugar levels, or taking insulin and other types of medications can cause your blood sugar levels to drop too low. It can also affect how well these different medications are absorbed. A couple other things I've used these for, I've used the roots in making a hair conditioning vinegar. It does make the vinegar kind of more of a slimy type feel, but is very, very conditioning to the hair. So if you're into making herbal vinegars to use as a hair wash / rinse, marshmallow root is a good one to add to that. You could also use the leaves as well in that, or the flowers. And then another thing I forgot to mention that I've commonly, back when I was making soaps to sell, and I like to add a lot of herbs to those, I would use any herbs that are good for the skin. So sometimes I would add marshmallow leaves and flowers to the soaps when I was making them. And along with some other great skin related herbs such as yarrow, comfrey, plantain, pansies, dandelions, and more. Calendula, another good one. Now, ways that you can use it as far as medicinally besides making teas, you can make tinctures out of it. Just keep in mind, especially if you're using the root, you'll get a little bit of this with the leaves too, but especially with the root, if you're making a tincture, it might turn out kind of have a little bit of a gelatinous or slimy consistency to it. That's going to be normal, and that's actually it's that very consistency that's very, very good for the mucous membrane, but just be prepared for that. Some people will use it for making lozenges for the throat and for sore throat and cough, or you can powder either of these up and use them in a capsule form if drinking teas is not your thing. Some people prefer capsules. I prefer teas because I find capsules, well, you got to buy the empty capsules. To me, they're a pain to put together, even if you have a capsule filler. It's not my favorite thing to do. I'll do it off and on for some things, but typically try to avoid that. In fact, I've come to the point now that if I really like the ginkgo biloba, found I don't like it as a tea at all. I don't like the flavor. However, I found I can handle taking a spoonful of dry herb and just washing it down with some cold tea, coffee, juice, or water. And that works out pretty good for me doing it that way. But some people wouldn't be able to handle that. So there's not one right way to take something for everyone. When it comes to any of this stuff, it's going to depend on what's easiest for you. Some people prefer tinctures and extracts. Some people, like me, prefer teas. Some people prefer capsules. Whatever way that you can get it into your system. But again, marshmallow, by the way, has a very mild flavor. Like if you're using the leaves in anything, very, very mild flavor, which is why it's great to add to any kind of dish. So this can even be stir fries and soups, but if you're wanting to keep it raw, adding it to salads, the leaves and the flowers is really great. I hope you enjoyed this video. Anything you'd like to share? Do you grow marshmallow? Do you use it for anything? Even if you don't grow it and you have to buy the leaves or the roots, how do you use it? What's your favorite way? And has it helped you with anything specific? Please share with us in comments down below. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.